What's up? What's up? What's up? Good people. AI for Entrepreneurs, episode 7. Got myself,
7, yeah.
Ivanlee Jackson, my good friend, good business partner for long time, Christopher Lang. We're in the building. We're also streaming live on Instagram on the Optimized AI official account. So shout out to everyone on IG that's seeing this live, man. I get to see how we kind of make everything happen live and in real time. So, this should be fun. But yeah, man, Chris, another week in AI, big week, which leads us directly into our first segment, Last Week in AI. So what do we got on the deck?
All right, on deck this week, we do, like you said, we've got a lot. We're going to start with music generation. So the very first thing, you actually sent me this before I even got to send it to you. I know last week before, 2 weeks ago, when we had Parrish on, we spoke about Suno, which is an AI music generator, essentially. Well, now there's a new player in the field called Udio. And this is a music generator that uses AI, does basically the same thing. A lot of people are saying it's a lot better than Suno is. Personally, I've used them both meticulously. And I'll say this, on Udio, the music quality, it seems a little bit better, more mastered, the vocals separated from the audio a little bit. But with the caveat to that is I haven't actually, I generated probably 500 songs using Udio. Not one of them was something I would actually listen to. A lot of the use cases I've seen for it are people making like meme style old timey songs and things like that. But I haven't actually it hasn't made anything that I would consider like a hit from what, but however, Suno, I was able to bang out hits. While the audio quality is a little bit less, there's times where you can clearly tell it's an AI voice, and I haven't heard any of that over on Udio. Udio doesn't really generate anything that I find interesting, and I've heard that from a bunch of other people who did play around with the different models. It's just Udio isn't really hitting it with what it's creating. So everyone should go check that out for themselves. Play around with both Suno AI and Udio. We'll put the links, both of those below in the comments. So next up, we had a couple of new models come out this week.
Well, let me ask you real quick. How far do you, because I know you're really big into music. For those who don't know, Chris, in his younger days was part of a band and, just very into music. I've seen you play the keyboard, guitar. How far do you think and how soon do you think AI transforms just the music industry? Like, what are the implications in terms of just AI audio? Like, for example, this weekend in the rap world, there was this huge battle. I'm not sure if you heard about it, between Drake, Kendrick Lamar, Rick Ross.
I've seen some things about it. Nothing where I've ooh, I'm interested in this. So, but to be fair, it doesn't matter who the artist was. I'm not interested in what any celebrities are doing. I could care less about other people's lives.
But so like in a rap battle, the people put out diss tracks, and like some of the tracks that came out were AI, and like a lot of so when these tracks first came out, people were like, oh man, is this AI or is this the real thing? And Drake dropped the track and went against everybody, and at first no one really could tell if it was artificial intelligence or not. Then Kendrick supposedly came back, but that turned out to be artificial intelligence. So in the rap world, in the hip hop world, it's already having real-time implications. And just listening to some of these AI tracks, like it sounded very much like the artist it was intended to emulate.
Right, so, like a recorded, like they made the song.
Yeah. And I don't know, like so a lot of people were trying to figure out like how they were doing it, right? Is it someone like actually just rapping and using an AI voice changer? Is it someone just creating creating it from scratch using something like Udio or Sumo? And it's just, we're already seeing such crazy implications from it, just being able to mimic other people. I'm curious in terms of just empowering artists, especially those not as talented as you, who are, you know, multi-instrumentalists who necessarily know how to play all these devices, but have ideas in their head that they want to get out. I just, you know, what are your thoughts in terms of where that's going and how AI will help empower, you know, more musicians?
So right now, at least with the tools, at least the two tools that I mentioned that are kind of publicly available, short of fully generating a song using AI and not really having much control over what gets generated aside from like a prompt that you put in or maybe even some lyrics. Right now, kind of on both of these, you could say like, here's the style of song I want. Here's what I want the song to be about. And at the most customization you can get is like, here's my lyrics. So unless you're going to fully generate it using AI, it's not really a great tool for artists to be able to build their own, unless like for rapping, just putting together some beats instead of having to produce your own beats and then rapping over it. I could see it being used that way. I could also see it, even if it is something that has guitar or something, and just generating the instrumental track using AI and then putting your vocals over it or adding in different instruments. Like if you only do a guitar instrumental track, then put your own drum beat over it or your own bass in and layer in your own. So you're kind of using it to subsidize one of the instruments you might not have if you don't have a lead guitarist, for instance, and you want to record a track. But as far as, and I'm sure there's other tools that people like Kendrick Lamar and Drake might have access to or that cost a lot of money that allow them to fully generate it using their voice and their words with their voice replica. Because you can also make replicas of your voice right now. 11 Labs is a company that you can already go do that with.
Yeah, or other voices or celebrity voices. There's an app.
Or other voices, celebrity voices. Like that's something you could already do, but with at least Udio or Suno, I can't put my own track into it. I can't put my own voice. It generates those vocals for me, and there's no option to add my own vocals, only my own lyrics.
Would you say that's the next level, though? That's the evolution, right? When you are able,
I 100% think it will be to the point where you can actually mix your own tracks and say, generate the guitar track, generate the drum track. Let's chop this up. And just like you would if you had someone playing the instrument for you in a studio, you'll be able to produce with AI people playing these instruments or producing the instrument sounds for you.
Now, you know, I know we got a lot more to talk about. I do want to end it with this one comment. What would be sick, and obviously I think is the evolution to where it's going, at least music-wise, is being able to, you know how we can feed our AI, or we can feed AI right now, like some information or a PDF, or give it a website, and it understands, and then give it directions and understands like in context based on the information you just gave me. You know, you want me to do this, and that. Imagine when we get to the day, which we're, you know, getting there very soon. Where we could feed it a background track and then say, all right, play a guitar solo over it, or lay down a rhythm track that complements this background track, this particular style, right? So then you can start really like precisely layering and building upon the sound, right? Because now because the AI understands, like it already sees what you're trying to do, the rhythm of the track. It can kind of complement it or play sounds or play another instrument, another layer that complements it. And so that's when I think that's when people like me, who don't necessarily know all these instruments but are musical and appreciate music and know what they want.
Right, like I know what would go here. I don't know exactly how it should sound or how to play it.
Yeah, I know a mean guitar solo would go really good over these rhythmic drums, but I don't know how to play guitar. But I know it'll sound good, right? I think that's when like it just transforms, like kind of like Sora will just transforms like a lot of artists in terms of people who may not be capable in doing it, but have the ideas that they do want to get out of their head. But
exactly. No, I agree. I definitely think that's where it's headed. I'm personally excited for that. The same thing. I can play all of these instruments, but do you know how long it takes, like, to get first pay for all the software you need, then get all the mixing boards you need, be able to then get all the instruments out, plug them in, record the track, master the track. Like, it's so much time. So to be able to do that, like just sitting at my computer, would be phenomenal. Even if you were a songwriter and you wrote lyrics and you know, like, you're going to have a G the here's your chord progression, here are the lyrics, and just to be able to take a picture of that and feed it to the AI and have it make that song where you already pre-put in the chord progression, or you're a composer and you're making something for an orchestra and you want to hear how it's going to sound, but you don't have an orchestra sitting in your house while you're writing to upload the sheet music and
Yeah.
and then have it compose that for you based off of the sheet music you put together.
Nah, that's gonna be incredible. It's gonna be incredible. It's gonna be a lot of
Yeah, I'm
sounds
excited for the
coming
future
out,
of this music
yeah.
AI.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Me too. So what else we have on deck? Last week in AI. I know that there was a lot more that kind of popped out. Sorry we detoured, but
No.
love
That's good.
music,
That
man.
it's good to talk about. So next, we have a couple of new models that came out last week. First, we have Google announced they have a now public preview of Google Gemini 1.5 Pro. So the big thing with this model, it's as always, it's a little bit smarter, it has a little bit of better reasoning, but the big thing that this model has is a 1 million token context window. And let me explain what that means for people who have no idea what the hell I just said. So a context window, when you're like, for instance, GPT-4 has a 128,000 token context window, which means at any given time, it can only understand 128,000 tokens worth of context. So like if you have a very, very, very long conversation, or if you've chatted with the same chat in ChatGPT for, weeks or months, you might notice it starts forgetting shit you told it way back in the beginning of your chat because it can only use the most recent 128,000 tokens. Same thing if you were trying to feed it a whole big long PDF. It'll read that PDF up to 128,000 tokens, and then that's all it can comprehend because it reached its context limit. Google Gemini Pro 1.5 has a 1 million token context window.
So that's a huge
So
difference.
the amount of data it can comprehend at any given time, because they also built in, and one of the reasons this 1 million context window is so important, one of the features they have is video. You know how like you can upload an image and it knows what's in the image? With Google 1.5 Pro, you can upload a video and it can understand what's in the video up to like a 1 hour video with that 1 million context token. So like I could upload an entire episode of our podcast and have it then based on what it's heard, saw, pre-make chapters for me, for instance, give me titles and descriptions and keywords for YouTube. I could have it automatically make me a thumbnail based on what we had just by uploading it to this Google Pro. To be fair, I don't know if I'm going to do it this week, but one of our episodes I'm going to try that with, because right now 1.5 is in a preview, so it's only available for developers. So I can access it, I can try it, I can use it through the Optimize AI tool suite. Because it's only in preview, it's something I can't put out to the public to use. It's also very, very expensive, so I can't necessarily put it out to the public until that gets taken care of. But I personally can use that because that 1 million, if I were to use the entire million context window or million token context window, it's like $45. So it is a little pricey, but it is very exciting. And then on top of that, OpenAI announced it's still GPT-4 Turbo, but it's their like upgraded version of GPT-4 Turbo. So it has better logic, better reasoning. It does better with coding. It just all around it's better. And they also built in their vision API or their vision reasoning, which allows you to just upload an image to the GPT-4 API or the model and have it understand the image that you've sent it. Now, while that's a cool thing for developers like myself, most of us have already just built in functions that allow you to do that. So like with any of our assistants in Optimize AI tool suite, they all have vision and reasoning built in before this model existed. So, and the fact that it's now built into the model doesn't, like, I'm not going to go and change my code because they allowed me to do it in a slightly different way. The same base functionality already exists. So I think this is actually the only time GPT-4 has tried to overcome a Google announcement and just failed flat out. personally. On the flip side, though, and then so I have one more thing to talk about. But on the flip side, as of right this minute, GPT-4 Turbo did retake. They are currently in the lead on the chatbot arena again. They are back in the lead. They took it, lost
How
it,
often
and
does
have
that
taken
change?
it back.
How often? I mean, is it like neck? When was the most recent change?
I don't know.
Like, is it like I'm wondering like how
I'm not on the leaderboard right now. Hold on.
Like jockeying for position? Is it like the NBA playoff race?
It's not live. It's every couple of days it gets updated. It's not like you could see live real time stats. It gets updated every few days.
I might start watching that, right? Like, who's winning the AI wars? Just had it.
Oh, if it was live, I'd be taking bets. I'd be giving odds.
Right?
And then the last thing, it's not really news because there's nothing anyone can use or do, but it is news. And Zuck announced over at Meta, Facebook, whatever you want to call it, coming out very, very soon, they're going to be releasing a couple of Llama 3 models. Now, Llama 3 is quintessentially, it's an open source AI model. It's what they use for their Meta AI chat and things like that, all the AI that's built into the Meta infrastructure. But the big announcement was he used to want to be just the best open source model. That was his goal. But now he's come out and said he doesn't want to just be the best open source AI model. He wants Llama 3 to be the best AI model, period, which means he has basically said he is directly going after OpenAI, Google, and Anthropic, who are kind of the big ringleaders at the moment. So with Llama 3 and with these new models, he wants to be the absolute best of the best. So we'll see where that goes.
That's interesting. I mean, I want to have Kobe Bryant's jump shot. I want to have Joe Montana's arm. I want to be able to jump and catch the football like Jerry Rice, right? Like, I've wanted a lot of things in life that, don't necessarily turn out that way, right? When there's other competition or other people who may want it more or may have, sacrificed and put more time in it, or, have a head start in terms of doing what they're doing and perfecting their craft. So it's like, it's one thing to say you want to be something or you want to accomplish something, but like when you look at OpenAI, you look at some of these other Anthropic, etc., Claude, they've been doing it for longer. They've been putting more resources in it for longer. And
I'll argue on the resources. Zuck bought up pretty much every NVIDIA AI chip that existed a few months ago. So as far as compute power goes, he does have an advantage because OpenAI has to pay for compute power. Anthropic has to pay for compute power because, like, I remember last week I mentioned Amazon invested like another $2.7 billion into Anthropic, who makes the Claude API or the Claude AI. And a lot of that investment isn't here's cash. It's free compute time on their AWS servers. Same thing with Google. Google at least they have their own cloud hosting. So I think Google is in a little bit of a better situation than OpenAI or Anthropic is. Same with Zuck. Zuck doesn't have to pay for compute power because he has his own AI server farm rather than hosting it out on something like AWS, or OpenAI is using Microsoft Azure.
Okay. So yeah, it's interesting to see what happens. I mean, I'm glad, for us as developers, as consumers, as users of artificial intelligence, we want that. We want healthy competition amongst all of the AI developers or platforms in terms of giving us the best, most usable product that we can leverage for our uses. So, if Mark and the team at Meta creates AI that pushes OpenAI to create better AI, which pushes Google, Anthropic to create even better AI.
It's a billionaires pissing contest, and we're actually benefiting from this one, unlike the last billionaire pissing contest where they all got to go on fancy trips to space.
Exactly.
At least this billionaire pissing contest, we as the consumer actually benefit from by progressing artificial intelligence and these AI models that we all have access to.
Well said. Well said.
That's ultimately what this comes down to at this point. It's a billionaire's pissing contest of who can do the better, coolest thing faster. Because all of these things, especially these tools like Udio or like the music tools, all these different tools, they kind of have like a pattern. So it first gets released, and the early adopters, they get a lot of views. They get a lot of like feed because they're using it. They're telling people about it. It's new. They're just letting people know that this is out now. Then, so those early adopters, they get a lot of views. Then everybody starts using it because they've seen all of these early adopters talking about it. Oh, here's this new cool thing. Here's a thing I made with it. So then everybody starts using it, and then everything just gets saturated. Everyone's doing the same thing. And then after a couple of months, 3 months or so, it's boring. And now we're dead, and then it's back to waiting for these pissing contest billionaires to spit something else out that's new and innovative for the early adopters to repeat the cycle again. It's been the same kind of cycle over and over and over and over again every time, but I think it's really forcing the speed in which AI is evolving from where it started to where it is right now. So, but with that is the end of Last Week in AI for this week.
All right. So on to our next segment, which is the mystery segment. For the mystery segment this week, we are going to talk and rank our favorite AI platforms for different use cases. So for example, if Chris does a lot of programming, right? If you're going to program, if you need to write code to build a website, which AI would you use? Why? If you're going to use an AI to create an image, which AI would you use and why? And so we're just going to go through a couple of use cases and just kind of rank them and maybe play around them. We'll see where it leads. So let's get it started. So by default, what would be, let me think how to do this. All right. By default, I was going to ask you by default, what would be your favorite AI to use if you can only use one, right? But I think that's a better end question. Let's talk about specific use cases.
Okay.
So just creating content, something basic in terms of just using AI to create content, right? A lot of business owners, a lot of entrepreneurs, and this is AI for entrepreneurs, when they think of use cases, it's creating content, right? Emails, marketing contents, etc. How would you rank the different AIs out there?
So I haven't gotten to play too much with the new GPT-4 Turbo yet. Now it's on the tool suite. Don't get me wrong. The Optimize AI tool suite has this new GPT-4 Turbo, newer, better, greater model. I just haven't had a lot of time to play with it. Right now, I'm primarily using Claude Opus.
Okay.
Specifically, their Opus model. Okay. I use Claude for everything at the moment.
So talk about that. Let's talk about that. Why? A lot of people like, what are the differences? What are some of the, what is the reason that you would go to Claude over GPT or within our Optimize AI tool suite, you would click from, if you had the option, well, you do have the option. You can click from GPT.
You do, yeah. You do have the option
to go to Claude, right? What's the difference? Why do you like Claude AI better than OpenAI or ChatGPT?
So my main reasoning revolves around code, but overall, so I'll start with code because that's the primary reason I switched over. I know the question was about
not code.
It was about content creation, and I'm going to get to content creation because it's why I stayed with Opus and why I use that for everything. But the biggest reason is the way that it does coding, the way that it understands instructions, the way that it understands correlations between different files when you're writing code or feeding it code for an understanding. You need to update something, you need to do something. The context it has in remembering. Now it's the same context window, but Opus seems to do a better job of remembering things earlier on in the conversation than GPT-4 was. Also, when I'm writing code, a lot of times, like GPT-4 it seems, at least up until recently, I haven't tried it yet because I've been on Opus and I haven't had to write anything overly complex that I haven't just written by hand recently. But GPT-4 would give me, it was very lazy. So I'd be like, hey, how can I update this code? And it would give me a couple of lines and a description, but I just fed you 200 lines of code. Where that didn't really give me any information, like where that should go, what should be done. And excuse me, Opus was a lot better, where it would just literally rewrite my entire code for me and be like, hey, not only did I do this, but you didn't consider X, Y, and Z implications that this update will have. So I also made those adjustments here, 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 and here. Make sure you review this when you do your testing. So it was a lot more intuitive about not only doing what I wanted it to do, it was also a lot more intuitive about understanding the repercussions of updating this one piece of code on how it'll affect the rest of the code, where GPT-4 was literally just saying, here's how you do it. Like, but like I said, I fed you so many lines of code, like I knew where to put it, but I'm also lazy. Like, I just want to copy paste the new code. Like, that's why I have you. So, but and Opus would do that for me. It would just here's the new code, and I could just copy paste and overwrite everything I already wrote with the whole new code with updates in it. So that's why I started using Opus. But then that same understanding I noticed with content creation. It was much better at following instruction. It was much better at understanding what it is you were trying to ask it to do. So its logic and reasoning, for me at least, personally, was a lot better than the logic and reasoning I was getting out of the base GPT-4 and that I've ever gotten out of Google Gemini, to be honest.
Okay.
So that's why Opus, that's why Claude, that's why I've been using it as my daily driver for everything the past couple of weeks. I am going to give this new GPT-4 Turbo a try once it's in ChatGPT.
Give it a chance.
Yeah. Once it's available in ChatGPT, I'll give it a chance.
What about image generation?
Image generation, honestly, I use Stable Diffusion.
Really?
And the reason I use Stable Diffusion is because it's open source. So I have models, AI models from Stable Diffusion installed on my computer. I have a tool that I use that allows me to, and you have a lot more control over it because it's installed locally. You don't have to worry about compute time, waiting in line while too many people are trying to use it. It's only using your own local computer resources. And because it's open source, there's a ton of different models. So if you're trying to generate photorealistic things, you can just go out and find, like, Hugging Face is a good example, where it's a repository of a bunch of different models available for Stable Diffusion. And so I can just go find some really good photorealistic models. If I want to do something cartoony, like I have one that lets me generate Pixar character style people. So personally, there's also these things called LoRa's that you can work with when you're using Stable Diffusion. So it's basically just a pre-engineered examples of what you're trying to do. So if I wanted to have the thing, I want to generate something in a certain style, I can go find a LoRa that exists that replicates and pre-trains and updates whatever model you're using on that particular style. It also gives you the ability to include negative prompts. So I can say what I don't want to see in the generation. There's just so much more you can do using Stable Diffusion if you take the time to understand it. So that's one of the caveats to that, is with that ability to generate and, have more control over it comes the complexity of having to understand what it is. They have a thing called a control net. So if I wanted to pose a model in a very Instagram way, I can literally go and find and draw a pose of a model in this manner, and it'll only generate images with that pose. So that's what I use for image generation. I'm going to say 99% of the time.
So my favorite AI for image generation would be, well, other than Optimize AI. So I love Optimize AI just because I can just the drop downs. It makes it easier for me to use. I'm not necessarily artistic, so there's a lot of things or options that I don't think about when it comes to creating images. So for example, the lighting, the mood, the texture, the, you know, just all those little things that really goes in, those ingredients that goes into creating good imagery. I love how with Optimize AI, we kind of prompt them to think of those things, like just a drop down for the mood, a drop down for the lighting, a drop down for all those things, right?
Right.
My other favorite, not us tool would be Ideogram. It's a prompt based AI that we use to it's a prompt based AI that we use to create images. What's really cool about it is words. A lot of those image generators don't really do well in terms of adding words into the image. So, for example, if you're trying to create a logo, which obviously requires words, a lot of like Midjourney doesn't really do that well with words. DALL-E doesn't really do that well with words. So, you know, I try to avoid that. Whereas Ideogram does. So
yes, Midjourney supposedly their latest version can do words. I haven't tried it out. I think I still pay for it, so I should try it out. But I did hear that Midjourney kind of fixed that. But you're right. A lot of the other models, including Stable Diffusion, does not do words.
Yeah. So yeah, in terms of generation, these video image generation, those would be my top two like go-tos. In terms of content generation, I'm very specific in terms of the content I want. So like we talked about this last week when we talked about prompting. It's crazy. We're going to get into this conversation later for our main topic in terms of just AI and how it, you know, the more implications and how it kind of makes you lazy. Like it's already cut out so many different steps in my work process, but then I'm constantly looking for more steps that it can cut out. Right? It's like I can use AI to create a marketing campaign, but then I want an AI specifically for creating a marketing campaign so that I can make that process of creating that marketing campaign with the AI even more efficient than it is using AI itself, right? It's like you constantly looking for that next thing to make it even that much more efficient. And so, you know, for me, it's like I don't necessarily look at to me, like Claude Claude AI, Google, ChatGPT, OpenAI, I get it. Some are a little bit better than others. I really am interested in terms of what Google can do with that 1,000,000 character limit, meaning it has that much more memory, almost 10 to 1 versus ChatGPT, which has a 100,000 character limit. So that
128,000.
That's transformative. But wow, yo, like just for me, it's really more so how that AI is then packaged and tailored for what it is I'm trying to accomplish, right? So it's like I don't want just an open prompt to the world's most powerful image generator. I want something that's tailored to me and my basic needs of needing to be prompted through and thinking about certain things I may not have thought about to get to the desired results that I want. So I tend to like always navigate back to our tools or tools like that you know are more dedicated to specific tasks. Which leads us.
What's our tool? What is it? What do you use?
I use Optimize AI. Optimize AI version 2.1.
Yeah. 2.1 is our latest and greatest.
Yeah, no, I use Optimize AI, man. I use Optimize AI. I don't lie. Like when I go to do pretty much 99% of everything I'm doing with artificial intelligence right now, I open up Optimize AI. And I don't really find myself toggling between. So, you know, we have the option to toggle between all three of those different paid versions, right? So we have ChatGPT 4, we have Claude, the paid version of Claude, paid the highest tier version of Google. I don't really see myself switching between them. I usually use the tool. Like I don't really. It's not necessarily an issue of like which AI I want. It's more so I switch between which tool I want.
Gotcha.
Right? For me, it's just figuring out like what tool to best accomplish the job of what I'm trying to accomplish.
And the default in the system is GPT-4. Now it's GPT-4 Turbo, their latest and greatest, newest model. So,
Right. So a lot
You're
of times
using the
that's good
winner.
enough.
You're using the winner.
Exactly. A lot of times that's good enough for me. It's more so just figuring out, which assistant, which tool is the best tool for what I'm trying to accomplish, and then, can I shortcut it? Can I shortcut it even more?
Mm-hmm.
That's
And I
my
will say
AI
GPT-4 has always been better at formatting its responses.
Yeah,
So if you're
that's always been
looking
my
for
thing,
something
man.
that's in like a clear, concise, easy to read way, GPT-4 has always been better at that. Bold bullet points, like it's always been better at that.
So that leads us to our main topic, man. And this is a topic I'm really interested in talking about because I really do think I have a compulsion, or AI is giving me a compulsion to become the absolute most efficient entrepreneur on earth. Like I lie to you not. It's like I whenever I think AI, I just think, how can I shortcut more and more processes? Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's constant. It's constant. It's like, if I can make an AI to literally run our business, I would do that. Right? Like if I can, but what are the
We're
moral
building it.
implications?
That's what the AI tool suite will become. That's what its purpose is to have an entire suite that can run your business.
But
That's
then what are the
what
moral
it's going to
implications of that?
become.
So like,
Huh?
does that, so one of the things I think about a lot is that, back in the day, and I say back in the day, like it was a long time ago, a few months ago, no, a few years ago, a year
Year and a
ago,
half ago, yeah.
yeah, a year and a half ago, if we needed to create content, if we needed to put together an email campaign or create content for a website, like it would be me that would be doing it, right? Like you would build the
Oh yeah.
website, I would have to go create the content. And creating that content by hand gave me a certain skill set, right? Researching what's the best practices in terms of how to talk to people, how to convert, etc. Like I learned a lot. And with AI now, I'm learning a lot in other ways in terms of how to apply the AI, but I'm also letting certain skill sets atrophy, if that makes sense, right? Like I'm not writing things by hand. I'm not necessarily doing it the right way. And so and a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business owners have those questions, right? Like, but I can bring AI into my business, but then what if something goes wrong and I lose out on, that skill set, or my employees, I lose out on having actual humans to do that skill set.
Right. The AI goes down, you beat.
Exactly. So,
And that happens with
I know,
OpenAI all the time. We're constantly getting those little notifications like, oh, there's an issue with ChatGPT. There's an issue with this API. It's been down for 3 hours.
and it does.
I think I've messaged you. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what to do. Like ChatGPT's down. So I guess I'm gonna wait a couple
All work
hours till it's
canceled.
back up to work on this.
Yeah, all work canceled. All work canceled. Chat GPT's down. I don't know what to do. Hey, there's artificial intelligence. The world stops till the servers are back online. But I mean, so
Exactly. It's become a crutch almost.
it is. It's a crutch. It's a huge source of empowerment, but it's also a crutch. And so what are your thoughts on that? Because I know I have my thoughts, but I want to tap in with yours first.
So while I do like it is definitely a crutch, but I also think it's empowering people to do things they didn't or they couldn't do before. It is allowing entrepreneurs to save a ton of time and money. In my examples, I use it for coding a lot. What I didn't talk about, again, this is the unpopular part of doing that, is I don't need back-end developers anymore. In fact, I don't need a lot of front-end developers anymore, because now instead of hiring people or bringing people on to do certain work, I rely on the AI to do it for me. Because I do know enough about all of those different types of coding to be able to analyze, troubleshoot, and get everything working. But in previous times, I would have only relied on, hiring a freelancer or having one of our developers, who we don't need anymore, do that type of coding because I didn't know it enough to build what it is that we were trying to build. Um, so I completely lost my train of thought talking about replacing human beings with AI. But again, without that, I'd have to go back to paying people to do things that I didn't know how to do. It would take a lot more time. But it did, in fact, but at the same time, while yes, I'm using these AIs, I'm having to do like if I'm getting an error, I either have to take that error, give it back to the AI, see what the fix is. But now I'm seeing that real time, so I'm a little more hands-on with the code. So while at the same time I'm relying on the AI to do it, I'm a little more hands-on with the project than I would have been without the AI, where I just paid somebody, we have a developer that takes care of it and I get the finished thing when it's working. So at the same time, I am also learning and honing my coding skills, because now there's certain things that I know to look for immediately. If I see like this type of error, or if this issue is coming up, I know exactly what I'm looking for because I learned about how the coding works better by utilizing the AI. So I think it's kind of a toss up there as far as the education goes. Same thing even in your example with like writing copy, because it's giving you copy, but you're not just copying and pasting it in. You're still evaluating the copy. You're still having it update the copy to your liking. So you're still honing your skill in copywriting. You're just using it to put together the base and do the heavy lifting, if you will. It's the crane, but you're the crane operator. You're not lifting a heavy ass piece of metal, but you're using a tool to help do the lifting.
And honestly, that's kind of how I think about it, honestly. Because like back in the day, it's almost like you're the worker, right? I had to think more like a worker. I had to create the email, create the content for the websites. I had to learn these different skills.
Mm-hmm.
Like we started this business and we had to wear all these different hats to push the business forward, right? I got to be the content creator. I got to be the writer, the all that stuff, right? Whereas now, it almost having AI at your disposal, it almost forces you to level up your way of thinking about your company. Because now you don't have to necessarily get lost in the weeds of all those, menial labor type roles that are necessary for your company, right? So like, I don't have to get lost in the weeds of writing email newsletters or content for my website or content for my social media, right? I don't have to necessarily do that on a daily basis as much as I had to back in the day. It had to get done. It's just back in the day, you had to pay someone to do it or you had to go do it yourself. Whereas now, I'm almost because like I know I can use AI. I can sit down for about an hour and put together my whole 30-day social media marketing plan, all of the content, like carousel posts, hashtags. Heck, I can go bang out images in that hour. Like I can have a whole social media 30-day calendar done in like literally in like an hour, right?
Yeah.
And so now as a business owner, I have to take that into account, and that focuses me more on being a business owner, right? I don't have to go get lost in a whole week, because that's, back in the day, I'd have to spend a week or so to write all that content and make all those images and put together that 30-day calendar. Now I have I have so much more time. Like I'm learning, I have to actually go and learn how to be a business owner, right? I have to focus more on that side of things. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, especially small entrepreneurs or people that are just starting, we take comfort in work, right? So like let's say you're starting a project and there's a lot of busy work involved within that project. A lot of times, like we want to feel momentum. We want to feel like we're moving forward. So we'll bury ourselves into the busy work. And that might not necessarily be the best work we could do as the owner of the business, of the project, right? Like it's like starting a company, or let's say you're starting a car washing service, right? You should be building out your car washing service. You should be, there's things you should be doing as an owner of the company, but you get lost in the weeds of like doing all the marketing, which is work and does move your company forward, but it's just, you're not being the best or most efficient as the owner of the company as you should be. And so with AI, it kind of forces you to level up, right? Because there's a lot of these things that would take forever to get done back in the day, a year and a half ago, you can do now with the click of a finger, and it's just it's game changing. And with that game changing capability, you gotta level up and think more as a business owner.
Well, and you do have to think, like you said, about more facets of your business. Whereas historically, like even let's just go with creating content for social media, you'd have to create your content. And now let's say you had no desire to do that, you'd have to pay somebody. So now someone else was creating that content, and then if they were going to be there's a video, so they were going to be coming up with what the script that you're going to say in the video. They were coming up with the caption that comes after it. They were putting the background music behind the video. Whereas now, because you're using AI to do that, so you don't have to pay somebody other than whatever the AI subscription fee is, you're thinking more about that just by you working with the AI to do it. You're thinking more about the script rather than just reading the script. You're thinking about the caption and how it's going to help you grow organically rather than just paying someone to do that for you. So it's giving you a little bit more of an insight into what goes into the finalized product, as well as like as a business owner, rather than just paying somebody to do it all.
True. So
you're getting an education in a way anyway.
Yeah. So like, while certain skills, I do think certain skills will atrophy, right? Like I'm not as on point in terms of writing content from scratch as I used to be a year and a half ago, because I don't do that as much as I did a year and a half ago with AI. But my skill set in terms of talking to an employee, giving them precise directions in terms of what I want as an entrepreneur, as an owner, right? We mentioned this last week when you're prompting the artificial intelligence, in a sense, is like you're just speaking to an employee, right? A human employee, and the quality and precision of the instructions that you give that AI is going to dictate the quality of the content that you get back. So I've gotten so much better at giving directions, whether it's a human employee or, the AI, in terms of just, this is what I want. This is what I want to get back. I think as some skills will atrophy, other skills will evolve. I think I think that'll be the case, across humanity, as AI becomes more adaptive. But that's the same thing with any technology, right? Like, every technology that really came out, when they came out, computers and the internet or video gaming, I mean, you can't, anytime there's a new technology, we always start thinking like, oh, well, what about, the negatives of it? Or what about the fact that people start relying on this a little too much and whatnot? So it's there's pros and cons with everything. I think as humans, we have to be used to adapting and taking the good out of it, and, just growing with the times, so to speak, growing within the wave.
Even just something. Sorry, no, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I was just spewing.
I was gonna say, so like, even just something as simple as like I'm gonna call it basic math. So adding like 257 plus 356. Now, historically, I could have just done that in my head because I did it all the time. But nowadays, in my pocket, just like my teachers told me I never would, I have a calculator at all times at any given moment. In fact, I don't even need to touch this. I could say like, hey Siri, what's this? I could talk to it, but that technology exists, and that's not AI. But it did make my ability to do quick math in my head diminish over time. I could still write it down and figure it out. I understand the process on how to get that answer if the calculator or the AI, whatever it is, didn't exist. But just it did make the ability for me to do it in my head diminish over time, because it's like anything else. If you could have been an all-star athlete and now you sit on your ass behind a computer for 40 hours a week and you don't do any exercise, your ability to be an all-star athlete is going to diminish. You're going to get that gut. You're going to get flabby. You're not like keeping your muscles tuned. Same thing if you're not keeping your mind tuned. You're not using those skills. You're going to lose them.
But like you said, just using that calculator analogy, you lose some of your ability to do basic, mathematic calculations by hand or without a calculator. But as an entrepreneur, as a business owner who's just looking to, move your mission forward and your mission may not necessarily rely on math or calculations, but you do have to do some calculations in the course of doing business. Your efficiency in being able to do those calculations using a calculator has helped you as an entrepreneur move forward, where back in the day, pre-calculators, that might have been a roadblock, right? Like you might have been a great entrepreneur, a great business owner in every other way, but just horrible at calculations. And that could have been the holdup. Whereas now that holdup is eliminated. It's kind of like what we were talking about when making music. And you know, so you may have the perfect song in your head, but you don't know how to play guitar. You don't know how to put beats together. You don't know how to really play instruments. But now with AI, when you get to the point to where you can say, okay, I want my drums to sound like this. I want my guitar to sound like this. I want piano to sound like this. When you can start doing that and getting thoughts from out of your head and have the artificial intelligence be able to interpret what those thoughts are and then send it to the computer and produce back a result that gets you what you want, it is game changing, man. It just takes away a lot of the hurdles that used to be there for those that may not have had that ability to, or that technical ability, whether it was, you know, calculating, writing content, you know, anything that AI can do for you. Sora with videos, being able to put movies together, right? Create B-roll footage.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and with anything else, it's the automobile destroyed. You know, people are talking about all the jobs that AI is going to destroy and this, that, and the third. But look at all the jobs that the automobile destroyed when it became a thing. Well, yes, but it also created new opportunities and led innovation to the next level. When the computer came along, and you know, it destroyed jobs. It put typewriter factories out of business. But again, led a revolution and of innovation that we could do using this new tool, and that's kind of what's happening again. Yes, there's going to be jobs lost. AI will in fact replace people eventually. It is already starting, but it'll more and more over time be able to replace a lot of jobs. A lot of jobs, especially jobs that are only dependent on having knowledge in your head.
That's why it's critical to become a leverager of artificial
paralegals, things like that, for example. You don't need a paralegal anymore. All the knowledge they have in their head, the ability to do the simple write up a contract and then have the lawyer review it. You can have an AI write it up. You don't need paralegals. You don't need even to the point where I know they're doing like medical diagnoses using AI. And there's been cases where doctors have misdiagnosed something, gave all the same information to the AI, who then correctly diagnosed what was wrong based on the input given from, you know, CT scans, X-rays, as well as all the vitals, all the different tests that were done, like test results, fed to the AI and fed to the doctor, and the doctor misdiagnosed where the AI got it right. Now, don't get me wrong, there have been way more times where it was the vice versa scenario. So it's still evolving, but even Elon Musk himself said within the next year and a half, AI will be smarter than every single human being to ever exist. It will be smarter, more knowledgeable, and have the ability to do pretty much anything any human being can do. And Elon Musk says within a year and a half, that's going to be the case.
That's when we get the AGI and ASG.
AGI.
Yeah, man. That's going to be.
And I'm okay with it. I embrace it. I'm okay with it. Like, if I never have to write another line of code again, it does not mean I can't sell websites. Because while, yes, you might be able to, but implementing it, getting the AI to build the website, being able to modify it, adjust it, being able to understand the nuances that go into hosting that website, the SSL, the security, the vulnerabilities, SEO, and all of the other things that are involved in that website, the AI is not going to do that for you.
Right.
I'd be okay if I never had to actually code or build another website ever again. I'd be okay if I could just tell my AI what I want, updates I want into our AI tool suite, and never even needed to look at the code because it just came back to me in an hour and said it's done. That would be a detriment to me. It would be a detriment to people who only know how to write code, people that only know how to write copy, and that is the entirety of their career, profession.
But
as a multifaceted entrepreneur, You're
That part.
only going to benefit from that because like, all right, well, now this takes this completely off of my plate. I can focus on more innovation and more new things while this is happening in the background.
That part right there. That part right there. Like that's where it's so exciting because it's like before you needed those like individual skill sets and all those were relevant in terms of running a business. You needed a good copywriter. You needed someone who focused specifically on, you know, analyzing analytics and analyzing data. You needed someone that focused specifically on, you know, creating graphics, graphic design, etc. Right. And either you needed to pay someone, have them on your team, or go learn a little bit about that yourself to be competitive in business. Now with AI, like you don't need any of those roles. You can literally do like accomplish most of those roles yourself very competently within minutes using AI. So it's like as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, it just changes the game in terms of like what we can do. And it's also it's the great democratizer because like you know, just think like if you're an online coach, right? If you're trying to sell things online or whatever it is that you're doing, right? If you have a budget, you can hire some of those roles that we just talked about, right? So you can create more content. You got more graphics. You got more written copies. So you can put out more stuff. It looks more professional. You're going to probably do a little bit better in the market. Whereas now, the person that may not have that same budget, but has the same level quality of product or information, now they can also put out the same level of quality of content. They're not held up by not necessarily having the budget to hire this copywriter or this graphic designer. They can just put it out there and they can compete with the people that do have that budget. And now it's just like, you know, who has the best content, who has the best product, who has the best information, right? So I really do believe it is the great democratizer in terms of just entrepreneurship, especially startups, because like as a startup, we can just think about like us as a startup, man, like back in the day, right? Imagine if we had AI and all the things that we spent thousands of our dollars, hours, in terms of
hours and hours and hours. Yeah.
In terms of doing that, we could have just done like for nothing, just using some AI. So like, think about how good these startup entrepreneurs have it today in terms of like getting your business up and running fast, getting quality content, information about your business out there to the market, putting together press releases. I remember the days when we paid to have someone write a press release and then, you know, just all that, right? Like, you know, it's game changing, man. Especially if you're a startup entrepreneur, this is the time to really go because there's never been a time like this. And you know, I've been an entrepreneur. We've been entrepreneurs for over a decade. It's
well over, like 14 years now, 15 years, something like that.
Yeah, it's never been a time like this where it's as cost effective and time efficient to start a business and do well. But speaking of time efficiency,
Instagram disconnected our live.
Oh man. Well, we're on mine.
That's all right.
Hey, y'all. Hey, people on my IG live. We figured it would pop up, man. If y'all not tuned in to Optimize AI Official, definitely go tag in there. This is a live recording of episode 7 of me and Chris's podcast, weekly podcast, AI for Entrepreneurs. The full episode will be on YouTube and other streaming sources Friday. So you can definitely check that out. But I feel like that's about it, man. We're at an hour and 11 minutes, so we try to stay around an hour on these episodes. We talked about the moral implications of AI. It would have been a better or more competitive conversation if me and Chris both weren't just extremely excited about AI or like, you know, damn the moral implications. We just want more AI faster and quicker. So we kind of are in agreement with that. But you know, we had our mystery segment where we talked about favorite AIs. Wrapping up, yours was Claude, mine is Optimize AI. And we talked about the busy week in AI and the deluge of announcements and updated models. So yeah, man, this is episode 7, man. It's a wrap. Any last words to the good people out there? Follow along.
Yeah, learn AI. Learn how to use it, learn how to get benefit from it. I said it before, I'll say it again. While AI right now is not going to take your job, people that know how to use AI to do their job better will take your job. And it is the future. It's not going anywhere. And at the end of the day, even when AI really does start taking jobs, the jobs that are left are going to be people that understand how the AI works, how to fix the AI when it breaks, how to utilize AI to get better results out of it. So watching us, if you're watching this, you've taken a great first step. I'm sure you've already explored some AI if you're watching or listening to us right now. But just educate yourself. Make sure you like, share. We do this every week. We're gonna start putting out some additional content that is specifically educational to give you guys some real tips and tricks on how to prompt, how to use the AI. So definitely make sure you're following and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as our socials. And that's what I got. I will see you guys next week.
So that's a wrap. Episode 7, AI for entrepreneurs. We'll see y'all next week. Peace, love, hair grease. Be good, y'all.